Welcome to the Internet Marketing Funnel Podcast. I'm David Bain. Hi, and welcome to another edition of the podcast brought to you by InternetMarketingFunnel.com. This is part 4 of my interview with Craig McGill, who's a specialist in PR 2.0. In this section we cover mobile phone-based marketing and the role of IT and the IT department in relation to marketing in the future.
I think also as companies look to expand in the next 10 years, and so much of the world, and taking a global perspective on this, is we forget at times that not everywhere is as advanced as us. And especially if you look now to India, where there's a whole school of thought where the PC may never actually take root. It may actually be the mobile phone. The mobile phone will be the PC. And on the one hand, that's a mind-blowing opportunity for PR companies and marketing companies to look at, well, how do we take our message out there? You know, you have to throw everything out. You forget the ideas of the 15-inch monitor. You're suddenly down to a 1.5-inch monochrome screen, perhaps a colour screen if you're lucky. But the question is, how do you now take everything you've learned and condense it into that one screen to get people's attention? I think that the opportunities there on a global perspective are immense, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I think, to tie into what you're saying earlier, what could the next big thing be? Obviously, we've discussed what it could be for the web and on screens, and I said part of the excitement is I'm not really sure. But I think there will be more and more looks at what can be done with mobiles. And it won't just be, here's a flashy graphic, here's a screen of text. I think we're at an area now where the technology is so cute and so advanced. And cute may sound patronising, but I don't think it is, because there's been a push that way in recent years. I think, especially with the likes of something like the iPhone that's coming out and the new large screen touchscreens, it will be interesting to see how companies adapt around these to get their message out there, and again, how it interacts with each other.
It's certainly incredible. The onset of mobile phones to a certain degree are encouraging the use of text again, really, on websites. I remember having a conversation the other day with a chap called Sean Collins, and he was saying that he's aware of someone who uses the Web 2.0 social bookmarking, social networking website called Twitter.com. I'm not sure if you've heard of
yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
And all they do is they type in 2 lines of text about a book per day and a link to the book on Amazon, and they're making a full-time income just out of affiliate commission out of doing that. So it's incredible the opportunities out there for companies in the future, and it's just about harnessing them and trying to actually think with a vision of what actually is possible.
I think one thing as well that companies have to remember is that they have to have a good opinion on something. People will read a bland website once, perhaps twice, but if there's something interesting there, people will come back to it. And if someone's got an interesting website and they also say, for example, I read Football Incorporated by Craig McGill, and the Amazon link's there, they'll click onto it, and it's fantastic. And as you say, the benefits are there so that companies can actually make money out of this.
It's all about strategic thinking more than marketing, really. Marketing's evolving and really becoming part of the main general management function, as opposed to just some kind of small ad hoc function that's not really part of the centre of the management of the business. So.
Yeah, I think in one sense, just as in the late 80s, the IT was seen as its own thing. It was the beast in the basement that no one spoke about. But then throughout the 90s and now into, obviously, the early 2000s, we've seen the rise of the IT department, and to the extent that the Chief Information Officer is now a respected place on the board. And there's now nothing, I believe there was a survey in The Economist about 6 weeks ago, and it pointed out there's nothing to stop Chief Information Officers now rising to the top positions in a corporation. Whereas if you'd suggested that 15 years ago, you would have been laughed out of town, because these things only ever happen to the top sales or the top economists, the top analysts. But now the CIO position is strongly embedded. And I think over the next 15 years, as we see this distilling of how to get a message out there, and as you said, the incorporation of the marketing, and also to expand that a little, the marketing and the press sides of it, there'll be nothing to stop companies promoting the chief marketing, chief PR types into the very, very top senior positions. Obviously, they'll have to have a grasp of the whole company, but at the same time, whereas in the mid-80s, if you'd said PR strategist or a marketing strategist would rise to the top ranks, you'd have been laughed out of town. Now, I think we're seeing areas where it could quite easily happen. And I think it's a good thing, because you'll see that companies will always be aware to an extent of what's happening. They'll be aware of the larger Zeitgeist for properties that need that sort of thing.
That's the end of this podcast, but you can subscribe to updates which tell you as soon as another episode is published at internetmarketingfunnel.com/podcast.